When you look at the history of education in America, and you understand that it was never designed for African Americans to be educated, as there were laws that forbade us, we were forbidden to read, to write. You have to know that some of those ideals were perpetuated through the generations, and I won't say that it's so widespread that it's out of control, but I do believe that there is institutional racism, and that no one person is responsible, but that there's a collective piece that ties into expectations of African Americans, and especially African American males.
My name is Marie Morgan Shippen. I was born and raised right in Ardmore, and I went to Ardmore Avenue Elementary School.
Ardmore Avenue was my grammar school. I had a 4th grade teacher that lived off of beating our butts. He used to bend us across the desk with that paddle and wear us out. So after about a month of that, then it became a game. We would see who was going to get the beating for that day.
In Ardmore Avenue, it seemed like there was a mixed message there. The teachers would beat you up to make you learn, but then they'd tell you weren't going anyplace. I had heard teachers say to my fellow classmates, all you're going to be is a grease monkey.
We did have some good teachers, some old-fashioned teachers, but they had the A class and the B class. The majority of the Caucasians, all the Caucasians really, excepting for one, was in the A class during my time in school. And the Afro-Americans were all in the B class.
The education that we derived coming through that Ardmore Avenue, at that time we thought it was tremendous, but as we matriculated on into junior high school, we found out that we were deficient in a lot of things, in a lot of ways.
We didn't have any science in Ardmore Avenue. No science at all. And when we got to 7th grade, to me, gosh, it was like going to Germany.
In elementary school, we were predominant, but the teachers were 100% white. Okay, so we had teachers calling us niggers, boys. We had teachers that were having our girls sit on their laps, and they was rubbing their behinds and all of this. This was back in the 50s were going on. And if you said something and your parent came to school or whatever, then it was just like in one ear and out the other.
Well, I guess I got a label in 3rd grade because the teacher struck me in the head and drew blood. My father and mother wanted her fired, and the school said, well, if we fire her, your kid will have to carry this label for the rest of his life. They didn't tell my parents that if they did fire her, that maybe I would benefit from it, that I wouldn't have so many problems that maybe I would gain. But that happened in 3rd grade. And she had her back turned to me, and I was doing something with some kid, and she just spun around and struck me in the head with a flute and drawed blood. And my 4th grade teacher, who was Mr. Yo, was a scout leader. He came down and stopped the bleeding. They never took me to the hospital or the doctor. So when my parents demanded she be fired, they convinced my parents that that would be detrimental to me.
I got to see another side of Ardmore Avenue when my children went there. It changed. We had teachers that were just out of college, and I went in one day and the kids were all sitting in class reading comic books. And I questioned, they can read comic books at home. And the teacher said to me, well, they won't behave, so I'm just going to let them sit here and read comic books. And I thought, this was never ever going to work. So that's when Mrs. Cherry and myself and the NAACP and a whole other bunch of people got involved, and we decided that something needed to be done about Ardmore Avenue. A lot of people were concerned about busing, but the general feeling was, okay, if my children are put in schools, and you know, we've been divided up into many elementary schools, if they are put in schools with everybody, they cannot be singled out not to be educated.
Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own.
As soon as I got to Penn Wynn, they had this part where they were splitting you off to special education. And it seemed like the greater percentage of us went that direction. I don't know why. There was some sort of an orientation they took us through. I can't recall. I don't recall. I just remember a lot of us went to the special ed. They call it the zoo, which was very degrading. They had that stigma with them for the rest of their life, and that was pretty sad. And I noticed when I used to look in those classes, most of them were the guys I grew up with. I saw very few white folks in there.
I came out of Ardmore Avenue right here, #1 in my class, okay, and below me there were 2 whites that were in the order, and when I went to Long Marion, the classes were structured like TEAM with A and W or something like that, and it was usually self-contained classes. I'm in T, and all my friends are in the self-contained classes, and that in itself was a rude awakening.
Lumping everybody into one category of ignorance is not the answer, because not everyone is ignorant, and not everyone should be put into that category, be it white or black.
In my earlier years in elementary school, I was always an active kid. I had a lot of energy, a lot of creativity, and I noticed in our community what they do with that is they consider you to be disruptive or insubordinate. They think that you have a problem. They place you in special education. So unfortunately, I spent the early parts of my elementary school in special ed.